Bobby Hilton here with the Boom and Frazer Show. Bobby Hilton along with Scott. How you doing, Scott?
What's up, Bobby? Happy to be here on the Boom and Freezer Show.
Got a great guest for you today. Our first guest of the season, and it's none other than Emily Frazer.
It's going to be a fun one. Emily Fraser, big thanks to her. A lot of talking points, the beer industry and the growth of it, tour, many of the major events in the United States. It's going to be a good podcast, a lot of fun. Excited to have her.
I agree. I'm real excited. It's going to be a great show. I'm looking forward to this, Scott. I'm looking forward to you. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, you're right there at Buffalo, so I can see the background. It looks absolutely amazing back there.
Yeah, this was, I don't know about myself having a great event. I was this close as usual as of late in my elder years. But I'll tell you what a performance by several great players here. Joshua Filler, well, he is the reigning champion, took home around $190,000, which is absolutely insane for a 36-man event, $2,000 entry fee. I think the first two blind bids in the auctions $46,000 a piece. So it's pretty big money there. And I have the tournament bracket right below me that I could go through at some point. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we won't. This is where it all goes down. Buffalo's Billiards. Shout out to James Leone, aka Buff, for having us.
Scott, that's awesome. And lucky for us, we got you on the line, and you are one of the participants, but you've also won this event, correct? Or you came
I
in
have not
second to
won
it.
this. This is the only event I haven't won. The only major one pocket I haven't won. I've come in second twice. Alex double dipped me one year, and then I lost to Chohan. It came down to one ball, Hill. So every now and then I get close, but this tournament is very tough to win. And now with these younger guys like Feder Gorst and Joshua Filler, and I mean even Skylar Woodward, all these younger guys that are coming on, Roberto Gomez, they're taking the game to another level.
Calcutta at when you were in the event, was it similar to what it was now? Or I know it's always been big.
Yeah, I think what was it? 2 years ago, I finished fourth. That's when Evan London made the amazing clutch shot on me. I finished fourth, and I think with the tournament money and the auction money, I got back somewhere close to 60,000, I think, which was really good money. If I beat Evan in that match, I'm guaranteed like 100,000. So the Calcutta's been big for many years. It just gets a little bigger every year. It's amazing. The participation from the fans here is absolutely insane.
Yeah, I never seen anything like it. I mean, obviously you go to Derby and all that other things, but something about this event, the venue that you're at, and just like I said, the 36 people that are in there, the names that are in there, it's just the people. It's the best of the best, and it's just great to watch. It's very enjoyable.
Yeah, you touched on it right there. It's really the area, and credit to these guys down here, Randy Whelan, West Bank John, bunch of the guys down here and all through the South over the last however many years throughout history. The South has really been where it's at as far as cash flowing and money pool being played. And I think it's just kind of a heritage down here. As they get on the pool tables, this is one of the only rooms in the country still, but they used to do it through the South all the time. You can't reach a shot, you get on the table, but
Unbelievable.
action was hot and heavy through the South all through my career, and still really is.
Yeah, I would have hit that a little bit too, Scott. I mean, a lot of these players, played for big tournaments and big events, but this event's a little different with the Calcutta and somebody like yourself. I mean, you've been on the road your whole life, so you played for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and these guys playing for this kind of money with the atmosphere, and you could see them holding the money at the end of the tournament. The mindset has to be a little different, right?
Oh yeah, the mindset is different. It weighs on your mind. I don't care who you are. You can see it in the players' faces. You can feel it. Myself as a player, and you just know they're all feeling it, right? Because they're not just responsible for themselves in this event. They're responsible for the guys that are putting up 40, $50,000 on you. So, so the pressure is really there. Um, at times, I think we all want to win this tournament a little too much because there's times where the event or the matches can take a long time. Touching on that, as you know, Jeremy Jones, he and I had a 10 and a half hour match. We were both just drained. and we're both moving unbelievably well, but we neither one of us could make a ball when we finally had the opportunity. Um, and I think that that's kind of one of the examples of maybe trying a little bit too hard at times. There's a lot of matches that'll go 6, 7, 8 hours in just a race to five.
Yeah, we saw that, I think, this week. I think Jeremy Jones was involved in a 7-hour match, I believe, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
we played a 10.5 hour match, and I think I played another one that was 6. Jeremy played a
This
seven and a
this
half
event,
for 8 hour match.
this event.
Yeah,
Oh
we played
wow,
10 an hour. Yeah,
oh
we played a
wow.
10. Yeah, I
I didn't
thought
know
you
that
knew
one.
that. That spread pretty quickly. People went to bed and came back. We played
Yeah,
10.5 hours. It was pretty insane.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's crazy. That's what it's all about. One pocket, and you know those one pocket fans. I mean, you more than anybody, man. You guys, well, not you, but the people out there that are the fans of it, they are the die-hardest of pool players. They love it. They breathe it. I mean, if it's on, they're watching it, and they just something about that game is captivating, right?
Yeah, man, it's a niche group, right? And it's been a cult following for a long time in the States, and I'm pretty proud of that. I feel like I've had a big hand in that. A lot of these guys,
100%, 100%.
everybody's had a big hand in this, right? But I think to grow the knowledge of the game itself within the fan base is really important, and that's a credit to everybody that's been involved. I want to thank these special people for their partnership. First and foremost, Wayne Harriman, the Sandman out of Yale Billiards in Connecticut. Thank you, Wayne, for all your support. Tommy's Tattoo Supply, probably one of the biggest tattoo suppliers in America. Tommy, thank you so much for your support. In the Box, my favorite logo, In the Box. Check them out, Elvis and Neto. Thank you guys so much. Andy Gal, like, share, and subscribe. That's his motto, and I'm all for it, baby. Jesse Johnson, PNW Pool Thing. They are out of the Northwest. They are a major stream starting some big things up there in the Northwest. Leah and Dave Bartosiak, South Florida, Classic Billiards. Their motto, wings, beer, and balls, baby. They are fast and loose. They like to have a good time down there, so check them out. Justin Lee, Colin Sue, Patrick Nix, Evo Sports. They are a global streaming platform over in Asia, here in the United States. Thank you guys so much for that. And then, of course, McDermott Custom Cues. McDermott, one of the largest cue producers in the world. If you've never owned a McDermott, you better check it out because I've had one. And I think my partner's actually had one. Last but not least, Metro Sports Bar and Grill. David Lee, thank you so much for your support, man, and allowing me to travel the world like I am right now here in Orlando, Florida.
First of all, we want to say thank you for joining us on the Boom and Freezer show. We really appreciate this.
That's all right. Is this your first one?
It's our first one, hopefully of many, and we're going to
Good.
get hopefully a lot of great stories and just continue to grow the sport like what you do. And what we want to do first of all is from the Woman Preacher Show, myself and Scott and everybody out here, we want to dub you as the Queen of Nine Ball, Emily. You
I
are
already dubbed.
100%
I dubbed
are the
myself years
Queen of
ago.
Nine Ball.
I'm sorry, I'm still in that holiday mode. No, I appreciate that. Thank you. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I did get a sword and dub myself like a couple of years ago because no one was taking the role, were they?
No, nobody was taking the role, and you definitely have. You've dubbed yourself that role, but you've earned it, right? You are no doubt Queen of Nine Ball. You've taken over the globe in the world of nine ball, which is awesome.
I mean, obviously, we love what you do. When the Shark Stream travels and go to Matchroom events, obviously Moscone and now the Florida Open, and we're excited for that. We definitely hope to do that more often as well.
Yeah, it'd be great to have you there.
I guess what we want to do today is just talk about coming up in the future of the World Nine Ball Tour and what's happening right now. I think some of the great things that are happening that we just saw and that are moving forward, which I am passionate about, is the junior events. And Emily is adding, junior events. I believe the SVB Open is that at the U.S. Open. Um, in Atlantic City, and that'll be the 21st through the 22nd, Emily. And then I also believe that the Florida Open is going to have a junior event, which will be the 8th through the 9th. And I just think that's a great thing. I really do.
Yeah, look, the juniors are obviously the future of the sport. I think personally, the one thing I've really loved from the junior events is that you see more girls competing. And obviously, one of the first things we did when we really launched like the World Nine Ball Tour was making all of our events open. And I remember when I first come on board, a lot of the events were actually named, men's and women's. And I think one of the things that's beautiful about our sport is that anyone can participate. And it's something that I love to see with the junior events is that you see more of the younger girls coming in to compete, then that should set them up for more confidence, and more of a level playing field for when they want to come into the main event, because they may have more experience than some of the others that are coming in, and it just opens up more doors, more opportunities. Felix Vogel is probably the best example that we can use. Came to Saudi Arabia last year, won the junior event there. And then obviously he's just won the Jason Shaw junior event earlier this month. And now he's a signed pro and he will play in the World Championship main event. So, and he's 17 years of age. So 16 or 17, sorry, off the top of my head, 17. So, that's the stepping stone, that's the pathway. And he's already, I think even our broadcast partner, Sky Sports, even said to us, Felix was great in his post-winners interview. He's live on Sky Sports, spoke really well. And it's all about us getting them ready in those arenas, building their profile, building their social media accounts ready. And it's at such a young age. And, we've all seen what's happened with Luke Littler with darts here in the UK and across the world. So for us, it's just about, creating that next superstar, but doing it at a much earlier age. So then they can become, it can be life-changing opportunities for them when they're reaching the age of, like a Jason Shaw. It could be a case of they may want to retire at that age. It's not, I feel for the likes of people like Shane Van Boning, who's, had to graft and graft and graft. And he's at that stage in his life where he's probably, whether he'd admit it or not, he'd probably look back and go, wow, like imagine if these kind of opportunities were about when I was, 16 or 17. So, the junior events are everything. And there's certainly, like a ranking system and things like that we're trying to put in place. But everything's step by step. And I'm sure, it will be something super exciting in a couple of years when it's a lot more structured and developed.
I believe he played Savannah Easton in the finals, didn't he, at the UK Open? You were just talking about the young women and men battling out, and she's obviously a ambassador for the game with the social media, like you said. But that has to make you feel good when you got a top young female against a top young male battling out for a championship of the juniors, right?
Yeah, Savannah, she reached the semi-final. And look, sometimes I can't hide my facial expressions, but obviously I was rooting for her to get to the final, just because that would be a great story. There's only been 2 occasions in the junior events where 2 girls have reached the semi-finals. The last one was in Hanoi, and then obviously with Savannah at the UK. So to have a young female reach a final would be a massive progression for the sport. But also, do you know what? I met her for the first time, like properly met her at the Super Billiards Expo in April. And I just loved her attitude towards the sport, her words to me, and we were both on the same vibe as this. And I've yet to meet someone who was on the same vibe. Was, I said, if I want to compete, I want to compete against the best and I want to be the best in the world. And she said the exact same thing. And obviously, so I loved her the minute that I met her. And when she was in the UK and she was playing in like our warm up the evening before, and when she was at the arena, like this sass and the attitude that she has, oh, I absolutely love it. I want to turn her into the next queen, of nine ball, because I think she's got so much talent. She's got a great brand. She's got a great personality, and she's got that fire, where she has that sort of sass about her. And I just think she's brilliant. And I can't wait to see more of her. I know the US world have seen a lot of Savannah in other tournaments, but obviously, look, there's age restrictions on our main events. And so until she reaches 16, she can't compete in the main event. So let's, get her into the juniors, let's get her prepared. So then when she does come into the main event, she's a lot more, developed, and she's a lot more prepared into these events. But I can't wait to see much more of her on the World Nine Ball Tour, professionally.
Definitely, I agree with you. You're definitely a little more seasoned, right? The more events you play, it helps you to long term, especially hopefully a big career for her as well.
Mm.
Um, I want to talk a little bit about you, Emily. I met you several
Sure.
times now. We went to, I met you at Jason's room and, of course, interview at Moscone. Every time I see you, you're always so positive and enthusiastic. Have you always been like that? Is that part of your MO? I want to know that about you.
Yeah. Oh, you get to see behind the scenes.
No, you're pretty positive all the time, Emily.
No,
You
I know.
really are.
There's been a few occasions where I've thrown my phone against the wall, but everyone needs that in their life.
Of
No, look,
course, of course.
if anyone ever met my mum, she's probably like just an older version of me. She's literally, no one could dislike her. She's so, like, she's the loveliest lady in the world, always smiling, always happy. She always sees the best in people. Um, so, she obviously raised me very similar. And I think it's just a case of, look, what's the worst that's going to happen? And I just think if we're all so fortunate, and I say we because within multi-sport, we're so fortunate where we all have a job that we've learned to love, and that, none of us were pool players. None of us really knew about pool before we came in. I had no idea what it was. I mean, I changed the history of the sport by one or two ball colors. That's how much I knew about the sport. I'm going to get absolutely slated.
Love
But
that one.
I know. But the reason why I did that was because like the broadcast experience, and I knew that a wider audience weren't, engaging with it, on the TV. It wasn't, people were going like, I don't really understand this sport. You go from what number to next number. And I was trying to appeal to a wider audience. And even by that one decision, that was the wrong decision at the time, that's been a talking point for years now. And I know that from that point to where we are now, the sport has grown so much just through different things that we've done. And, we push the boundaries because we're not pool players. We've brought on the likes of, Jeremy, Carl, Scott, obviously, as well. We go to and ask for, advice or opinions when it comes to the actual sports side of things, because, we're not a governing body. We are a promoter, but all of us all love this sport, and we've all grown to love it, and we all love our job. So, when we're at an event and everyone's having a good time, and, the event is sold out, like the Moscone Cup, and it was probably the best audience that I'd ever even seen in my career at a pool event, the most engaged audience, the most respectful that I'd seen at a Moscone. That's incredible to see. So how can you not smile? Every little dramatic thing that happens, if a player's got the ump or they storm off, that's all talking points. It's a TV show as well at the end of the day. So it's all about us just being positive. We take every situation and we try to look at it and go, right, okay, how do we improve on this, or how do we do better? Our end goal is to create, life-changing opportunities for pool players. That's our end goal. If you're not on board, then there's the door. And we've got a journey, we've got to see it through. And the whole time that we stop and look for directions, I would say, it wastes our time. And so we've got to do it with a smile on our face. And, we've got great people that we work with. We've got a great team. And like we've got a great extended team as well. Everyone is singing from the same hymn sheet. Everyone wants the same thing for this tour that's in like our extended, Matchroom Pool family. And what a thing, like something that we've created so far, that's enjoyable and that's pretty remarkable.
If I could just interrupt real quick, I wanted to ask you, you just touched on something that I think a lot about. I'm sure you think more about it than I do. You're talking about the Mosconi Cup and almost like a TV show. I mean, anybody that's there, I mean, it's so much more than even any TV show that could ever be built, right? It's the best reality show you could ever watch. Have you ever thought about, and I'm just coming off the top of my head, you and I don't talk about this. Have you ever thought about trying to make more of the tour stops kind of like that? Or I'm sure you have. Would that be a massive challenge?
Everyone wants an event like the Mosconi Cup. Any other organizer, they'll try to copy it. They'll try to do other events and they'll try everything to mimic a Mosconi. But at the end of the day, no one will ever have it. The Mosconi is unique in its own right. When we did the Reyes Cup last year, you were there, Scott. We tried to follow the Mosconi route in some ways, but we identified it's a different crowd. It's a different event. It had a different feel to it, but Reyes had its own, it had its unique kind of vibe to it as well. And some people are like, oh, this isn't Mosconi. Yeah, it's not the fucking Mosconi. It's called the Reyes Cup. The Mosconi was successful in Florida. And so we launched the Florida Open. Now it's not going to be identical to Florida, but we are looking at new ways. And one of the team come up with a great idea where move like the vendor booths into the main arena for the USA events to create more of an atmosphere. So spectators can come and have more of like a week of it, more of a day of it, and it's more exciting. So every event that we do, whether it was 5 years ago or last month or whatever, we're learning from it and we're trying to create an experience for both the players and the spectators. Because without a sold out arena with an atmosphere, you don't have a TV show. So I think like a great example was, remember the whole Jeremy Jones incident at the Mosconi
Yes.
when he stepped in and played. And I'm not gonna lie, I've obviously known Jeremy for quite some time now, and that man's never been like pissed off with me other than that moment, right? Which, by the way, I totally understand, and that's not me, dissing JJ. He'll be laughing because like for a year after that, I kept mentioning it. But as soon as that incident happened, right, everyone on social media was like, cue ball being clean's got to be, removed from the shot clock. You've got to stop the shot clock for the cue ball clean. Do you know what I say? That. Because without that moment, we would never have had that whole talking point. And Jeremy storming off after the match. Everyone was talking about it for 4 days and afterwards. And they still refer to it in a Mosconi Cup setting. Remember when JJ had it cleaned and he fouled? It's a talking point. And I think sometimes like people are so, in this bubble in this sport, they forget about that wider, picture and the wider aim of a talking point. It's actually a great example is last year, and Scott, you'll know this because you were at all of our events commentating. Last year, we probably had every final was like neck and neck, right? It was always like got to the hill, right? Both of them. And everyone, and it was really exciting. I mean, the Whirlpool Championship final was probably the best final in my career I've ever witnessed, right?
100%.
It was winner breaks, by the way, yeah? Just going to remind everyone it was winner breaks. We have the UK Open final. pretty much a whitewash, right? And everyone's going, we need the alternate breaks back. Has everyone got, has everyone just fallen over and smacked their head and forgot about 2024? This is a sport. And we can't just keep changing the rules to kind of suit what everyone wants. If Yap is going to go out and whitewash his opponent in the final, that's the story. And that is a story that we roll with for the next day. And yeah, he was breaking brilliantly and he was playing phenomenally. And what a great story. And yeah, if he goes and whitewashes it, then that is the story that we end up with. So everything is a story, everything is a talking point. And that is why, none of us are pool players, because we can navigate those stories and we promote those stories. So then we can, push this to be a bigger sport. So I think everything, the whole tour is a TV show. It's obviously down to us to try and, balance it as much as we can. But each event is so unique and so different. That's the beauty of the tour. You can have different events that have their own, vibe to it. Yes, I would love as much of an atmosphere. The Hanoi Open atmosphere is very different to the Mosconi Cup. But it's our job to get more fans in there and to take these events to locations where we do have that demand and we do have like a bigger audience in. But we've got to accept that some of the events are just unique in their own right.
I really like your point right there as far as changing the rules or the alternate break. Us as players, we do at the events. We do. We start talking amongst each other. We start getting frustrated. And something's got to change. Something's got to change, and that we're doing that. I think we all do that as players, commentators, or whatever we're doing. If we're a player at one point, we're like trying to fix something that probably really isn't broken at the end of the day. Like you said, if Yap does a great job and whitewashes the guy, then that's a story in itself. That's credit to him. But what's really happened in the whole thing is that you guys have made a format that makes it almost impossible to whitewash somebody because of how tight the pockets are, because the 9 is on the spot. Before the game was broken, and I truly talk about this, the game was broken, and now the game is far from broken. So I think that makes a great point. You guys are not pool players, and seeing it from that view is very valuable.
And one of the things I think of too is, who we never hear complain usually is the person that wins. It's usually the people, like you said, the people that are talking about it. But those stories, like when we had Ko Ping Young at the U.S. Open, where he potted every single ball, that was a great story. Would never happen with alternate break. You just talked about the UK Open, and you did such a great job with promoting everybody that some of the big names weren't even there. They were overseas with commitments,
Yeah,
making a living doing what they do, right? They were making a living because of what you do and what you're bringing. And it gives a chance for the young talent like Hona Soto. And of course, Loises Yap is still a young man himself. And what a great finals that was. What does that make you feel like when you see these young players just really, taking over and becoming world class?
I think the beauty of our events and of the tour is that you can, pick and choose if you've got other commitments and you want to go and go somewhere else instead of the UK Open. That might be the one that people will miss because they might think, it's not that, it's not as big as some of the others. Obviously, I completely disagree because I think that any exposure at a matchroom event is the biggest exposure that you're going to get, and we're only going to grow with that. I will hand on my heart say that I bet every player who didn't come regretted that they didn't, because every time listen, when a matchroom event is on, there is no room for anyone else. There's no room for anything else to happen because it's all people want to talk about, whether it's good or whether it's bad, whether their favorite player is in it or not. Everyone tunes in to watch it and everyone's tuning in to talk about it. But I would say, as much as, I love seeing the likes of Fedor coming in and playing in our events, yeah, it opens the door for other players to come in. And, Fedor may have got knocked out second round. You never know what can happen in the sport. And, it happens in other sports where Ronnie gets knocked out the World Championship and everyone's always expecting him to win. You just don't know. So to see the likes of someone like Jonas to come through to the final, but also his performance against Jason was truly like it was class. I was watching him go to the toilet. Sorry, yes, it's going to sound super weird. You don't have to cut that out. That's absolutely fine. But I was watching him walk from the arena to the toilet, and the DJ that was playing in between the racks, he was playing like Bad Bunny, which is obviously totally Jonas's vibe. And he was dancing like he was on cloud nine. And to see a player like that get that type of exposure, but to also perform like that in one of our arenas, I remember a couple of years ago, like Jonas used to say to us, "Oh, please, like Emily, get me on a stream table. Get me on a stream table." Like he wanted to get on there. He wants that exposure and he wants to win. And it might be unfair for me to say that he's kind of been in like Fran and David's shadow, but I think that might have been the case. But I think this has really set him up now to go, no, like I'm the real deal, and I'm a great player. And he's not made the final because Fedor didn't turn up to the event. Let's just get that clear. He's made that final. He's grafted his way through. He's grinded an open event and he performed top class. So, yes, it gives other players the opportunity, but also the exposure. When these players return back home, everyone's talking about them in their home country, whether, they win or they don't win. But you could see Jonas's like emotion. He wanted to win that so badly, but I say hats off to him for reaching that final, because we all seen it behind the scenes. He's a good player, but now he's shown the pool world, no, I'm here to stay. I am a great player and I could win a major someday.
I don't think anybody was beating them. Played almost perfect. I think it was 5-0 and then 7-0. And Jonas had one jump shot. I think that was all he had. So I want to talk a little bit about, you've obviously been a CEO for a while now, right, Matchroom? I think 15 years.
I've been at Matchroom for 15 years.
You did darts for a while, right? You did the dart tour?
I basically, when I first joined, I was in TV production, and so I worked across lots of different sports. So I went, I think I did hair and makeup for one of the darts events. By the way, I don't do makeup, like that's not a speciality of mine. And I remember having to powder like a presenter, sort of thing. So yeah, in the first couple of years I was here, I was on the TV production. That was when I actually first worked on a pool event. I think one of the first events that I worked on, I can't remember off the top of my head, it was either the World Cup of Pool in Manila or the World Pool Masters in Poland. Those two events, I was the floor manager on the TV side of things. And yeah, one of them two was my first ever pool event that I went to on the TV side. And I think I interviewed Wojciech in Manila, because I think the producer was busy with something. So they were like, "Oh, Emily, can you do their interview?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like, how does it feel that you won your match?" I've got no idea what the hell like they're talking about. And I think I remember sitting at one of the tables, like when they were playing, and I was trying to ask about the rules. But I just found it really intriguing. And obviously it was the first time you're going to a pool event. And, the fans in Poland obviously like were super engaged. And then obviously even more so in Manila, I was in a shopping center, and I remember, I find it so funny. It's like probably like 14, 13 years ago. I remember going up to go and get like my lunch or something. And I just saw like a massive swarm of people just like going mental. And I was like, what's everyone like going crazy for? And then I see it's Bustamante and Ray and Efren coming down the escalator to come and play in their match. I was thinking, who the hell are these guys? Like, what's going on here? Like, like I had no background in their sport or anything like that. And I was quite blown away by it. And I think that's why launching the Reyes Cup last year was so special to me personally, because that was the first and last time I'd seen anything in the Philippines. And it was one of my goals to say, let's set up an established event that is consistent. It comes back every year, an annual event that is in the Philippines. Like there's such a demand there. And so, I think it's pretty special, but I just think that in any job or anything in life, if you're across lots of different things, your experience is so, big, you can kind of achieve whatever you want. So yeah, I think I've had quite an incredible journey here. And I think every day I only feel like I'm just getting started. So that's quite exciting, also quite dangerous for everyone else.
Appreciate what you do, that's for sure. What do you think we need to do in our sport that we're doing now? I mean, you're already doing so much. I mean, we got the $1 million Saudi event. You got the highest money now for the U.S. Open Championship, the Reyes Cup and Mosconi Cup. I mean, you're doing so much. What else do you think we need? What's the next thing we need to get us to the next top level?
Stop fucking complaining. Scott's like,
Is that all the pool players or that the audience?
No, I just think that look, obviously I've forgotten like how many years it is ago now, but I remember, I think I'm sat in an office here at Matchroom where there was like three of us in the multi-sport team, and we were doing like the 3 events a year. And I remember when we'd just got the US Open, we'd acquired that from obviously the Bermans, and that was a massive achievement for us because it was our first ever Open event. Obviously, I had no idea what to do. I only ever done one table setup. So I remember that because I was there. And every time I'm at an Open event, I remember the first ever US Open. And I feel that a lot of people are so short-sighted, and everyone's saying, increase the prize money for the majors and do this, do that, do that, do that. And I appreciate everyone's impatience and, eagerness for this to really grow. But I think everyone really forgets how little money, what little money there is in this sport. It's not a global sport. There's, a couple of thousand hardcore fans that, are truly like passionate about this, but it's about appealing to a wider audience and being patient and developing the sport in the right ways, which I'm overly confident that we're the people that will do that because we make the right decisions for us to really develop this as a global sport. I think that this is the most tournaments and the biggest prize money we've ever had at any point across any disciplines in sport. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna say it. That is all down to Matchroom. That is all down to 9ball, because I feel that, not that I feel, the other organisers, other promoters have only stepped up because of us. I love that. I think it's brilliant. Everyone has, more opportunities to play in different events and different disciplines because of what we've done, because we pushed the barrier. There was for years and years and years, there was this just line that sat here. The player sponsorship, they got paid X amount. And, if they were ever negotiating, it was like maybe 500 more or 1,000, or everyone knew one particular player got paid the most. There was always these events that happened. Everyone just looked for these events. Players had to go and have money matches. Players had to keep certain jobs. Now, all of a sudden, players are doing tutorials on YouTube. They have a bigger social media presence. When, the social media only really kicks in when you're successful in a Matchroom event, just because of obviously the resources that we have and the knowledge that we have. But now there is so much available to them. There are more, brands in the industry coming to the table. There isn't one dominating. There are more brands, they're offering sponsorship. There's higher money on the table when it comes to sponsorship because of the exposure that there is. So before, there are, players could only really use a Mosconi Cup to gamble and say, if I make the Mosconi, you've got X, Y, and Z and patches here and here. Listen, there's now, 13 matchroom events that will give you that exposure. And so, I just say that it's kind of, we just let our, our actions do the talking. Every year we've always said we're expanding, and every year we've always done that. There might be some events like a Spanish Open that have kind of, gone a bit stale due to, certain commitments, obviously, in those areas. However, we've produced a different event in order to make up for it. We're always super transparent about, what we're doing and what we're achieving to do. But I would just say that the sport right now needs to just be patient, because money doesn't grow on trees. Money grows on TV viewership and TV viewership, not on, YouTube channels. And this comes from exposure and global exposure, not just exposure in one country. And it comes from social media presence. And we're obviously behind the scenes. We can see what is ticking and what isn't working. And that's what we make our decisions on. So we are fully invested. We are all in terms of poker. And, it's like I keep saying, we make the right decisions to really push us to the next level. So I think everyone needs to be patient, because when we're ready to increase prize money and when we can justify increasing prize money, we will do that, just like we did with the US Open last year. Been running that for a good couple of years now, and it was time to make it 500,000. And the majors, the UK Opens, the European Opens, like Florida Open, brand new event, Hanoi Open, they're all still very early days. And yes, I understand, players, there's expenses to get to those events. And, it's not the highest prize money for, total, but you also don't actually have to play in it. And if you don't come and you don't play in it and you don't win your match and you don't get on that stream table, you don't get your exposure. But it's all, it's a partnership, isn't it? We all have to come together. We could turn around and say, well, you know what, the matchroom majors, they actually lose us a shed load of money, so we're not going to do them. We're just going to do the Mosconi Cup. That's not us building sport. So we have to know what we're investing into, and everyone has to be patient with that. So as much as I know that, there's a lot of people who are just eager because they love the sport, all three of us here, I would love to turn around tomorrow and go, yeah, we've got 30 matchroom events. Here's the calendar, but it don't work like that. So I would just say that, the sport's in the best shape it ever has been. And, I know we're the people that are going to move it to the next level. So you just keep your trust in us and believe in us. And if you don't believe in us, then fuck off.
I actually, sorry about, I actually like that. Emily, I'm not putting you on the spot. I know you don't give a shit about that. When you say be patient, you're really talking to the players, right?
Probably, yeah. Look, a lot of the players, if they've got, any concerns or if they've got any thoughts or feelings, they do reach out to us. And, we tell, it's not quite as point blank as what I've just said. But, we're open with them and we say, look, we've got problems with X, Y, and Z. We don't really see a future continuing an event in this place or whatever. And we try to be as open with them as possible to try and get them to understand. But also that is why we brought Jeremy and Carl on board, because some players may not feel comfortable talking to me about it. They may want to turn around and go, Emily, I hate everything that you do. But they can't have that conversation with me, which I get. I'd much rather, by the way, and I'm saying this now, I'd much rather a player be very honest with me, because that's how I like to be. But we have such an open door policy, and we have so many different people that players can come and talk to. Scott, I would love for that to be someone like yourself alongside Jeremy and Carl, who players can come to and go, look, I don't understand this, and that. And because you work with us, and especially like Jeremy and Carl, they understand, they'll come and sit down with us, or we have monthly calls and they say, why have you done this, or why are you doing that, or they're included in those decisions. And then they can respond to the player and say, well, this is actually why Matchroom did this. And the player sits back and they go, oh, I get it. And
I think that's
it's,
valuable. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm sorry, Emily. I think that's really
no.
valuable, and I do get I get a lot. I hear a lot right from players. But this is what's I hear a lot from players, and
Yeah,
I kind of filter it with Carl and Jeremy. Well, we all talk. I
yeah.
don't talk directly to you guys yet, but I think that it's a really good thing to have guys like Jeremy and Carl in place to where
Mm-hmm.
they can kind of vent what they want. But what I think is really great is to also hear this side.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where it comes out is maybe it's a good thing to have more podcasts like this. I'm not a podcast guy. Bobby asked me to do this, and I had to think about it for a minute, right? I really did when he offered to do me to start doing the show. But my point to that is that maybe hearing you talk about the flip side to all of this shit
Mm-hmm.
is important. And I think that there's a lot of value there because I kind of digest a lot of stuff from players and you know, I sometimes even start thinking, God, is this what's really happening over here? But
Mm.
it's good to hear. It's good to hear what you say. I truly feel that way.
Yeah, of course. And I think I just want the players to feel like they can approach us. And if they want to vent, I would rather, and I say it to players all the time, and I'm not going to name names because they all know who
Sure.
they are, but sometimes they come off the table and they are frustrated. A situation has happened that's possibly out of their control. It might be that they see as the referee's fault, but it probably isn't. It's just one of those things, or they may see it as someone from the team or anything like that. I would always say I want them to come and vent to me, because at the end of the day, everyone working on these pool events are, just doing their job, and they're trying to do, exactly what they need to do in order to make the events happen. So by having, if players don't feel comfortable venting to me or any of the other Matchroom pool team, then they can go to you guys and listen. This is an open door, and I want everyone to feel comfortable like that, because you know the thing is that I think everyone needs to remind themselves is that yes, we are a commercial entity. Yes, we're a business. Things have to make business sense at the end of the day. I've been very transparent in the fact that there isn't any money in this sport. And, we have to be smart in the decisions that we're making. And, I know Barry's been very transparent about it, is that, we are investing a lot of money into this sport. Now, sometimes it's just a case of reminding everyone that we do always have the best interest of the players. Any decision that we make, we make that decision because we have to make it for their best interests. We sit under the same roof as a successful darts tour who's been running for years. The same with the snooker. So, it's like we know what we're doing, but also it is a case of we don't also have to explain everything that we do. And, we're busy. We got a lot of things to do. I'm a little bit forgetful sometimes. And if it's a case of, you, JJ, and Carl are aware of why we make certain decisions, so you can explain that to the players, I'm all for it. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the last thing I want is any player to feel concerned, confused, frustrated. I want to explain it to them. And, I'd like to think that I'm approachable at the events. And if they ever want to come and talk to me, then they can do.
That's really good stuff. I don't know. The tone kind of changed in this podcast, but I think it's for the best and good. And I know we're going to get back to some other great stuff, but I think that that's all really. I don't know. I'm sure the players are going to tune into that, and I think that that's pretty good
I
stuff
hope
right
so.
there.
I
Yeah,
hope
I
Awesome.
really like it. Yeah.
Also, the queen and nine ball. The reason why you're the queen and nine balls, what you talked about a little bit ago, is not only are you bringing money to the sport on your tour, but all the things that you talked about as well. I mean, think about all the social medias. You got the windows open, you got Dominic Dungeon, all those social medias out there. The people, the pros that are making their own YouTube channels. Everybody's out there that's making other, like you said, selling patches for Moscone thing. There's even our podcast right here. Everything is because of the Queen and what you guys are doing. It's absolutely incredible. There's so much more to it than just a little piece of pool, what you're saying. You're just really making it big.
Obviously, it's credit to our team because I think that we've really elevated the sport. And whether that's down to the amount of events we do, whether that's down to us pushing other organizers and motivating other companies to be, better. And also because there's consistent events, like there's events on the calendar now outside of matching events that never happened before. Ranking events that come onto the WNT calendar. Some ranking events we've done before that were a nightmare and they were a disaster. Some, have developed and really grown into something. Our partners actually at the Perry Open event, they've been integral with the Hanoi Open as well, where they have their own ranking event. Before the year one of us launching Hanoi Open, the team at the Perry Pool Arena, and I saw that arena and it was absolutely spectacular to see. And so many, fans were queuing outside to go in and just watch a ranking event. And actually, the field at that ranking event was so tough, to win. And I know that there's some announcements coming in the next coming days about that event as well. And that's another event that has developed because of the World Nine Ball Tour, but also partners that come on board with us. So everyone takes quite some, it takes a person to really, say that they believe in a company or say they believe in a cause, but to actually do anything about it. And I remember one of the first organisers who partnered with us when we first launched our tour was Diamond Billiards with the Derby City. That event has been running its way for years, totally not like a ranking event. With us, we've got maximum fields. You got to do this with the rules. There's no jeans. There's this and that. And, there's still lots of things to tweak about that event to make it, run as a ranking event. But they were one of the first organisers who came on board and said, do you know what, Matchroom, we believe in what you're doing. We believe in building this sport. We're going to put our trust in you. So whilst, there's a team within Matchroom Pool that sit here, it also comes down to other organisers, other partners who join us and believe in our vision because they also share that same vision with us. And without them, these players wouldn't have a fuller calendar to play on. So, I think that they're an integral part of the machine. And I love those kind of people who come on board with us and go, yeah, we're all in. We're going to do this. We're going to try and change that. Without those people, I think we wouldn't be where we are. So whilst, I'm the queen or whatever, and we've got our Matchroom team, those people, they really are part of the machine with us. And, if I wasn't in this machine, I'd be so jealous of not being in the machine. I'd want to be in it so bad because it's cool, right? If there was another one like us out there, I'd be fuming. So I just think that it's exciting for any player out there who's like a Felix Vogel, and I'm using him as an example. You'd be looking at this tour and you'd be going, shit, this is exciting. I always thought I could play pool when I was younger and I go to these the European events or whatever. But I could really do something with my life here. I can travel the world. I can pick up big time sponsors. I could be the next big thing. I could be a proper world champion. And, everyone has their own dreams. Everyone has their own goals. And how exciting for us to be able to give so many different people that kind of opportunity to think like that. That's what's truly, that's what makes me smile every day.
It should, Emily. You built the machine. I mean, you know that at the end of the day, and with your team, it's just gotten so much stronger, which is insane. I was writing down, and sorry, Bobby, I know you're going to touch on some points, but I was writing down the calendar, which I already kind of have in the back of my mind, and we'll touch on that whenever Bobby feels that's doable. But players in the States and the players really all over the world have so much pool to play. It's when I was writing the calendar down, and I'll touch on it whenever you guys want me to, but I was like, holy shit, man. I mean, if you want to play pool, I mean, and you want to be a Jonas Suto, or take that spotlight, you've got all the chances right there in front of you. Of course, it costs a little bit of money, but like touching on Shane Van Boning, I guarantee you, Shane, and even Jason Shaw, he and I've talked about it. Shane and I've talked about it. They would love to be 20 years younger. They would love to be 20 years younger right now because there is no money in pool, but there's a lot more fucking money in pool than there used to be.
Yeah, and there's a lot more to come.
Yeah, I
Oh
know.
yeah, Emily, you gave me goosebumps with your last conversation, your last
Oh,
talking point. It was just unbelievable. Exactly what you're saying. I mean, you got people that can go out there and they can, go win one tournament and win $250,000. Are you kidding me? I mean, that's just unbelievable. And that's, the tip of the iceberg because as Scott was saying, we're planning our tour right now, going out with Honas and of course Lucas Castleverne, another young player for the United States, trying to get on Moscone. We got a 6 week tour we're going. We're going to do all your events. We're going Virginia, Florida, Virginia, and then the U.S. Open. I mean, how about that? Right, Scott? Is that what
yeah.
you're talking about?
Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's big.
and
Go ahead,
also
Emily.
remember all the USA players like on Moscone Cup for the last couple of years. They're like, I'll say Skylar because he won't mind me saying it, but he's like, damn, Emily, I've got to go here and I've got to go there. And with our launch of the Florida Open, we have that sort of 3 week window with that and the US Open. There's more of a playing opportunity for the American players. We all know that I am incredibly biased when it comes to the Moscone Cup. I know I'm British, but I want a USA bloody win. But I know that the only way, there's no tricks and gadgets or like messing with the European team to get a USA win. The only way we push and we develop Team USA is by generating those next players that are coming through. So it is the likes of, Lucas, Sam Henderson's that are coming in, Landon, who obviously, had an accident snowboarding and he had an injury, and obviously that wiped him out for a bit, but he came back to the UK Open and played. Those are the type of players that we've only started seeing because of the launch of the junior events in the USA. Now, all of a sudden, they are making a commitment and they're traveling to the Hanoi Opens, to the UK Opens. So the only way that we really grow the Moscone Cup and push Team America is more events in the US. And so that's all part of that journey. And I hope that the American players can see that now and can see that that's obviously something that we really want to push.
You just touched on the juniors traveling, and it is costly. Most of the American players that are the top American players can afford to travel. And I'm not going to use I'll use the word spoiled, but not in the context of, I mean,
I'll say
you
something
understand,
spoiled.
some of them are. And I'm not, but that's also credit to what they've done and credit to
Yeah.
Matchroom. But if they stood back and took a quick look at what the juniors have to do, I mean, they have to do the same thing these guys did to get where they are. And I think that the beauty of it is that they have the opportunity to actually do that. And that's just absolutely awesome for me. I love it. I'm big on the juniors.
Yeah, let's finish up with a couple other things. We just talked about your Florida Open coming up. You got Virginia, then Florida, Florida. What are your expectations for the Florida Open this year? It's the first time doing this event there. What are you expecting from this, Emily?
Ticket sales have actually been stronger for the Florida Open than the US Open. So that is very exciting, um, especially for the first year of the event. Look, it was super successful for the Moscone Cup. The Moscone is a different beast. I respect that. But there is a demand for pool along that East Coast and in the likes of Florida. So it's something that I see in the next 3 years, the Florida really probably, kind of pushing to be the US Open. I think that it's going to be that kind of area that's going to be big for us. It might open the doors to other areas as well, different states that we'll be looking at. So look, I just think Florida is going to be exciting. I want everyone to kind of set their expectations. It's because it's a new event. We're going to start changing the arena designs of how we do things, just so we can look at doing more events. So the vibe of it will look a bit different, but the prize money's there. It's a great resort, and if anyone's thinking about what events come to, I think there's this one player whose name I've forgotten, but he's like one of the amateur players he played in the US Open, but he played at the Super Billiards Expo ranking event. I think his name's Reggie. And I met him at the US Open last year. He came with his family. And I saw him at the expo and he was like, "Hey, Emily, you remember me?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course I do." And he won like one of his matches last year. And I was like rooting for him just because he was just like a lovely guy, had his whole family there. And he was like, "Oh, I'm thinking about the US Open." I was like, "We should go play in the Florida Open." I was like, "The entry fee's cheaper. You can bring your family. You go to Disneyland on like one of your days off and you can make more of a trip." And he's like, "Yeah, that's actually a really good idea." And so that's why we go back to that, talking point of the events all have their own different vibe and they all have their own, they have their uniqueness within themselves. So Florida Open, yeah, it's 250 buy-in. It's a bit of a different setup, and that's what differentiates it to the US Open. So look, I'm excited for Florida. I think it's going to be really energetic. I think the atmosphere is going to be great, and we've obviously got a lot of plans for it. And so, yeah, if you haven't bought a ticket already, I suggest you get online and go and buy one.
I think it's a destination also. I think that you guys did something very good in the business aspect there as we saw what happened at the Moscone Cup. Yes, the Moscone Cup is in itself amazing, but there was something different there at the Caribe Royale, which is the venue there. $200,000 for the Florida Open in prize money for the first event, $250 entry fee. I don't know how you can miss that. Do you mind, Bobby, real quick, if I just touch over these real quick?
Right ahead. Absolutely. Please do.
Yeah,
Sure,
at
show,
the same
Scott.
time, the Junior Open, 8th through the ninth, right? And there's a $10,000 prize fund. This is how much pool. And I'm going to jump back real quick. The World Pool Championships in Saudi Arabia, it's $1 million prize fund, right? I was at the finals last year. I was commentating part of this event, and I literally get chills as I talk about it. I tell everybody about it. It's the best event that I've ever been a part of or seen in my life. $1 million prize fund and the Florida Open, the Junior Florida Open, then the Battle of the Bull in the United States. That's August 13th through the 16th. Prize fund in that, which is a ranking event, is $70,000. That's pretty outrageous in my opinion. Shout out to Corey and Trina Wolford. August 18th through the 23rd, here we are with the U.S. Open Pool Championships at the Harrah's Resort in Atlantic City, New Jersey, with a $500,000 prize fund. Right. Then you jump right away to the 21st, the 22nd of August with the SVB Junior Open with another $10,000 prize fund, which is strong. And another ranking event, August 29th through the 31st, the McDermott Classic in Massachusetts with a $25,000 prize fund. I mean, this is all within a freaking month, and a month. It's insane. October 7th through the 12th, Hanoi Open. Everybody knows about this. It's a massive event, one of my favorite events to watch, $200,000 prize fund. And then, of course, following that is the Moscone Cup and two other events that I overlooked, and I'm not going to talk about them. The Night Shot Open, it's in Dubai. And I think Jason Shaw, it was at his room last year, which was really awesome. This one is at Impulse Snooker and Billiards Cafe in Dubai, and it's 52,000 for that prize fund, and that's a ranking event. And then July 31st through August 2nd, back in the States, rally in the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia, and that's 32,000 in prize fund. These are all these are all big money events, ranking events, majors. It's pretty impressive.
And also the players will actually get paid.
Yeah,
You
they'll
know,
get paid.
even like in these situations, like even in these years, like there are some, events where they're not getting paid. And,
Yep.
I think a couple of years ago, there was such an uncertainty towards those things with our brand, our name attached to things like that. That's where being part of the World Nine Ball Tour just elevates anyone's association with us. I like to think that we're the best of the best. I know that we are, but we associate ourselves with the best of the best, right? So if you want to come and get the biggest exposure, you increase your social media following, you want to play in the best arenas, blah, 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 you come to us. And Scott, I must say, if I quit, I'm handing my hat over to you because you just basically did my whole promotion for me. So thank you.
Well, I
That
didn't
was
know if I was supposed to or not.
that was awesome, Scott. And again, I got to give you the queen. I give you a little more credit as well. With all those events that Scott just rattled off, you figured it out somehow where the people from overseas, anybody who wants to play in these events can literally, like we said, we're going to get a Sprinter van and we're going to ride the tour. Anybody can do that now.
I think maybe everyone can perhaps appreciate the delay in the calendar for this year because look, listen, we could have launched a calendar last December and it would have been all over the gaff. And the whole point of us making, we don't just make a decision and just shove something out there just because everyone's waiting for it and we're excited. We have to think everything through. And, part of the reason why we are taking our time is because we're trying to build a sustainable tour. A lot of these events, sorry, let me rephrase. A lot of events that aren't our events move around the calendar because, they maybe see something that we do that they want to copy or anything like that. By the way, I love all this. Like, this is not me, going at that. I love this because I love competition. It actually fuels me up even more. But a lot of these things, they move around, and a lot of our events have moved around in the past. But you take an event like the Moscone Cup and let's say Hanoi Open and Reyes Cup, they've found their place in the calendar, right? You got the Moscone, everyone knows it's kind of end of November, beginning of December. Won't be on Thanksgiving. I learned my lesson on that year, even though actually our viewership was really great when we put it on Thanksgiving. So I'm just going to say, but they found their place in the calendar. And, if there was a sport that I follow or there was anything I was passionate about outside of pool, and I knew a particular event was on at a certain time, you build your whole year around it. You go, right, I'm going to take my family there. I'm going to go here. And this is both spectators and players. So the Hanoi Open is a beautiful example as well because it's there in October. It's the same week as it has been the 2 years before. The Reyes Cup will sit in that same calendar year, the same point of the calendar as well. So everything is finding its position. And that is why we try to take so much care around the calendar. So then, look, we noticed that when we did the World Championship last year and we did a ranking event after, a lot of the players were just game over because the world takes a lot out of you. Whereas if you go to Dubai and play the Night Shot Open first, it's a good little warm-up. It gets you acclimatized, gets you on that kind of time zone. Then you go over to the World Championship. So everything that we think, we're thinking like a tour. And that's, a lot of why we make decisions like the way that we do.
Just the run we had over here in the East Coast before the Expo, and then now going down south of the East Coast. I'm sure you're going to start going west and start getting Texas and California at some
Oh,
point too.
yes.
Yeah, I'm sure for sure. Let's talk a little bit about your newest adventure you guys got going on the WNT channel. Well, how's
Oh,
that going? And let's talk about that a little bit.
love it.
That's got to be your baby, right?
Yeah. And you know what? I love some of the comments where people say it's not working. I'm like, well, Fred, I'm telling you, it's bloody working because everyone is saying it's working. But look, there's still some teething problems like anything in life. But I think the best thing is that what we're 5 months into the year after launching it. It's been great. There is some great archive content on there. And I think what everyone is going to find out, I kind of understand like a lot of fans are probably like tiptoeing in and they're like testing the water and they're saying, right, I'll sign up for this month because, I can watch the UK Open or I can watch the European or I can watch this or whatever. So I think as time will tell, and I'm not pressurizing anyone into it, everyone will understand the annual subscription will be so like it'll be so much more cost effective and it will be a game changer because what's happening is that the ranking events are coming on to WNT TV. Everything is coming on. The team have plans in mind for exclusive content that's going on there that won't be available anywhere else. And so that's all super exciting. Listen, I'm telling you, there will be a 1 hour program on Shane Van Boning ice fishing. And that is going on there because we all need to see it. We all need to see this happen.
Absolutely. I agree.
Whether we can squeeze it into 1 hour, I'm not sure. But it's beautiful. The WNT TV platform, very a lot of different countries that's got high viewership in, and so it's been very eye-opening for us. But yeah, still early doors. We will turn it into an app and things like that, but like I said, we're fully invested into the sport. We're going to keep growing, we're going to keep chucking everything at it, but slowly but surely we'll get there, and everyone will soon see.
Is going to get out there and buy that yearly pass. It's going to save you
I'm
guys
telling you,
money.
it's going to save you money. Don't tip your toe in the water. Just get in. I mean, it might be cold at first, but just get in, get your head under, and you will love it. It's like when everyone does like an ice bath, right? Everyone gets in, they hate it at first. They're like, oh, I'm not sure about this. And you get out and you feel great. But look, you're going to get all content on there, and each month we're adding new ranking events and things like that. So listen, it's just going to save you money. Get the yearly subscription.
Anything you want to add, Emily? Anything that you want to talk about on your end? Anything exciting going on the Matchroom? Any kind of secrets that you want to talk about, or anything you want to air out? We'd love to hear from you without us grilling you with all the questions.
I don't think I've got any deep dark secrets that I want to divulge into. No, I think look, there's plenty of stuff coming. We're just working super hard behind the scenes. We will actually be launching our own podcast. We're not rivaling with you. It will just complement one another.
That's perfect.
So, that's something that's going to, there'll be exclusive clips on that on WNT TV as well. So that's something we're going to be fully sort of launching into. So look, there's loads happening. And just stay tuned, really. Moscone Cup, that's obviously going to be an absolute cracker. I think everyone's going to be quite blown away with it this year. There's the arena, the plans that we've got, like if you're attending, it's really going to be truly special, I must say.
Do me a favor, Emily, and tell your team I said hello, and I just want to thank you for coming on. I'm being serious. I didn't know that you would come on or not. I didn't know. I know you were busy after the last event. You took a little trip just to get away. So I appreciate you sincerely coming on. Tell Adam, Jake, Jack, Indy, the whole crew. Tell them all I said hello and thank you very much for everything they do If the people out there in the world don't know who they are a badass team that really keeps everything going under Emily's belt. And I think it's pretty fascinating what they do.
Yeah, they truly are. I have the best team, so it's pretty remarkable.
Good stuff.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I want to say the same thing. Of course, I talked to Jack and Jake, and now Hannah. I messaged her a little bit, a couple times as well. And what you say is so true, Emily. The first time I met you, and I'm sure the players, like I said, you already talked about it. They should know that you are the type of person where you can go up and say, "Hey, Emily," and have just a conversation, and it's very enlightening because you're such a star, the queen of nine ball, and people can just go up to you, whether it's me, Scott, a player, or a fan can go up to you and talk to you. It's something special. It was really neat to see when I first met you, and of course with this conversation as well. I truly want to say thank you very much for being our first guest, and we're very excited.
No, thanks, guys. I appreciate it a lot. I really hope I'm so here for the success of this podcast. I love it. That's why I wanted to do the episode. So I want it to be successful as well. And I think that the more that we're talking about the sport, the more it's going to grow. And, who would have thought like a couple of years ago that we would actually be able to have and launch successful podcasts in nine ball or in the sport of pool. So I think it's brilliant. And for you guys to invest your time into it, I'm sure you're going to come out with lots of different content. And also, I know it's quite early for you both, so I appreciate it.
Thank you, Emily. We really appreciate it as well.
All right.
Thank you thank you for giving me the platform that I've had over the last few years.
No, you're welcome. You're good.
All right.
All right.
Thanks
Thanks,
a lot.
guys.
Have a great day. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, of course. I'll speak to you soon.
Cheers.
All right,
All
will
right.
do. Thank
Bye.
you.
Oh, hang
Bye.
on. Do a wave. Wait. I'm getting Jack in it as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Em.
Bye,
All right,
guys.
bye, Em.
All right.
See
Bye
ya.
bye. It got a little deep there for a while, and I guess maybe I know a little. I don't know. I mean, I do hear stuff from the players, right? And I think it was good. I think that I, every time I start to think certain things and then I hear her speak, it just reinvigorates everything that I initially bought in for. And I think that sometimes we lose sight of that, being sincere with that, right? It's easy to start to pick on one point that happened or something. Listen, it's nothing's perfect, right? Nothing's perfect, and there's going to be missteps along the way, but nobody's doing it better. Nobody. And uh, you know, um, players can come to me if they want me to talk to Emily, if they want Jeremy to talk. These guys know that Carl and Jeremy are the catalyst to that, but players come to me if they want me to say something to Matchroom, I'll gladly do it. That being said, I think that a podcast like this, Bobby, thanks to you for bringing me on, I think a podcast like this, getting her on, and I'm sure she'd come back on again in 6, 7 months or 6, 7 weeks, who knows? But I think it's important to have her out here speaking like that and really touching on that side of things because it kind of opens my eyes back up and everybody else's eyes back up to like, listen, just be patient, uh, trust the process.
So many things we talked about. I actually did, which was talking. I got a little chilly. I got little chills.
Yeah,
Some of the
yeah,
times she was talking, it was really amazing stuff that she was saying, and it's just trust the process. And like I said, you talked about the $1 million prize money coming up. I mean, just such an opportunity. Somebody's going to win a 250,000. That's a nice chunk.
yeah. Look at what happened. I mean, listen, Federer Gorst, the Gorst Slam, all the events he won last year, the U.S. Open, then obviously this event that Federer won. I really think that that changed his life. He was already a star, going to be a star, right? But if you win this event, we'll just use well, let's just use Lucas Fracasso Werner. Let's just say he somehow just shows up and ends up playing absolutely perfect through the event. His life will change. Your life will change if you win that
Yes.
event and that event alone. The U.S. Open is the same way. really.
Yeah.
And there's a little difference in prize money, right? 250,000 versus 50 or 60,000 up
I
top.
think they
There's
changed
a little,
100 this year.
oh, they did change.
The
I
100,000
So this year, correct?
this year, first
Yes,
time.
correct.
Yeah,
But my point there is the magnitude of these events, like the U.S. Open and the World Pool Championships, the
yep,
9 ball event in Saudi Arabia, they're pretty much identical as far as what it can do for you in the future.
for
And
sure.
I think that I think it's a great thing, and I think Florida Open is going to be that as well.
Let's talk a bit real quick about the Saudi. Who do you got winning that? Who do you think is gonna dig their heels on him? Obviously, Filler's playing fantastic. Honas is playing great. Lois is playing great. I mean, it's going to be real tough field out there. Obviously, Fedor.
I mean, you can't ever, just because Federer doesn't play an event or two, you can't think that this guy isn't going to train and be prepared for whatever he decides to do. And trust me, he won that event last year. He's going to be ready. And I think that event is really designed for somebody like him. I don't know how you go back to this event being Federer Gorst and not feel like you can't win it again. I think there was 5 matches where he was trailing 3 to 7 games or more in these matches, and it's incredible what he did. And just that alone. So Federer obviously is going to be prepared. Jason Shaw, then look at Shane Van Boening. I think Eklund Kochi is also, he was a runner-up. He's going to be right in the mix. But like you just said, you touched on Josh Filler. This guy is dominating everything. He just won on that table right there, $190,000, less than I think 24 hours ago. It's been pretty fascinating what's taken place with Josh Filler.
Yeah, his smiles were real in those pictures, by the way.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
You know, they were
yeah.
real. And
Big
yeah,
respect to him.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, you got FSR over there as well. He's got a really good chance to win that event in Saudi. Like I said, even the top players, it is life changing, and it's going to be something special for somebody. And I think after that event, I think now with two, this is going to be the second year. I think now not people are going to get comfortable with it, but people are going to realize that, wow, there's something happening here. This.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think really now it's almost built in that any matchroom major that you can win. I mean, it really catapults you into a completely separate category of your own. Really,
Yes.
that's what matchroom has done over the last few years, and that's kind of what I was trying to touch on is the prize money is almost really just secondary, right? Prize money's great, but the title never goes away, and it just with social media and the sponsorships and everything that Matchroom's doing as far as promotion on social media and how good they are with that. And then people
Yeah.
like us that take it even further. You win a Matchroom major and your life is probably going to change. As long as you do the right things after you win it and
Yep.
stay hungry, I think your life changes.
I agree. It's funny you say that. I must have been 3 or 4 years ago, and I was just started. I've been in the pool my whole life, but I was really just starting to get into the pro tour. And every once in a while, everybody says, "Oh, that guy's really good," and it's because he won a world championship. That guy's really good. The next level
Sure,
people. It's because they
sure,
won a world title. It's not
sure.
once you win that world title, like you said, it gives you a different platform. And now with the social media and all the sponsorships we're talking about with Emily, it's just something else.
Bobby, I fully agree. And then touching on one of your players that we touched on just a minute ago in the podcast, Jonas Suto. And how do you pronounce his name? Jonas Suto?
Honas, but he says Jonas, but
Jonas.
Honas is the
So what he did, he didn't win the event. He was the runner-up. But that moment when he played Jason Shaw, and I know Jason and I are good friends, he doesn't care, but that moment when he played Jason Shaw, I can guarantee you that this kid is going to be in the mix for years and years to come now. That was a moment in his life where everything changes. And typically, elite players all have that moment, right? And
yep,
it's not necessarily winning an event, it's beating somebody and the way they beat them. And
yep.
I think that, I think that, that, I don't think, I actually know that that was that moment where he knew. I know he knew he could do it, but now he knew he could do it, if
Right.
that makes any sense. And
No, that
I
makes
think
a lot
that's
of
going to,
sense.
yeah, and that's going to change his direction in the future. So he is definitely a factor going forward as well.
Once you have that mindset and that confidence, it carries over to you and actually transforms to your opponent. You know what I mean? You put your will on them, and that's what you're saying. He's getting that, or he has that now, and it's just something.
It is.
How about Emily? That was a great interview, wasn't it?
Really good. Really good. She I don't know, she's always shined. I guess we see why she is in the position she's in, right? You watch this woman do an interview like when they're grilling her, like media, and she just goes off without a hitch. She is very, very good, very well versed verbally and very intelligent.
I'll leave it on that note, Scott. Thank you very much. Great job. That was an awesome first show. I'm very excited about it. Who knows what's going to happen, right? The Bowman Freezer show. Who knows?
You never know, baby. We had a good one. You did a great job as well, Bobby. I thought it was much better than I expected. So I'm really excited for what's to come in this show. We got some special guests coming down the pipeline.
Yeah. And hey, with your contacts, who knows? Maybe your buddy Joe Rogan will stop in. You never know.
Yeah, I wish. Yeah, I
You, you,
wish.
you never know. Believe me, he's
You
going to be
never know.
watching. He loves the sport. He loves you. I mean, he talked about you on the
Uh,
podcast. He's involved and he loves pool. He follows it.
yeah, we're lucky he loves pool. We are all lucky he loves pool and he understands pool. He's such an intelligent guy. Um, and obviously one of the best guys on the planet. I mean, he's just so highly respected. I've known him 20, 25 years, really like 25 years, and he's never really changed. He's never changed, and he can play himself quite a bit, and he plays quite well.
Nice. Maybe we'll get him for a match someday. Who knows?
You never know.
All right, Scott. Good job, man. Get some rest. Go do some traveling. And I love the background. And we're going to see more of this, I guess, with you on the road and me on the road. They're going to be, who knows, we're going to be in our
That's right.
backgrounds.
Yeah, and that being said, guys, thank you, Bobby, and thank you to Buff, man. This guy is the best. He's a legend. I wanted to get him out here, but he's probably taking a nap. He never sleeps. But this is Buffalo's Billiards in New Orleans, and what a legendary place this place. If the walls could talk in here, they'd have a lot to say. All right.
Definitely. Again, shout out to Buffalo Billiards. Great job. Great job with the event. And thanks for letting us host our first podcast as well. Thanks a lot.
All right, guys. Have a good afternoon, good night, good morning, wherever you're at.